As our institution, Leeds Trinity University, began its attempts to address the differential outcomes amongst our students, I began looking into ways into bringing recent survey data to life.
Sorry.
Lecture starts promptly on the hour. Turning up late, in my opinion, is not only unprofessional, it's rude. Fapello, if you can't come in on time, don't bother coming in at all.
Sorry, train was late, and it's Tapello. It's not like I told you 1,000 times.
The result is ReTension, a 20-minute drama that tells the story of Tapello on a day when he questions the judgment of his tutors and peers, along with his own choices and beliefs. In December 2017, we held a challenging race and inequality conference where we invited academics to present their research. Their evidence suggested that universities are racist spaces, and our institution was no different. The 2017 report from the Equality Challenge Unit added to growing evidence that nationwide there was an undergraduate attainment gap amongst different ethnicities within the UK. What struck me was the constant difference between each of the ethnic groups. The difference, or gap, had been consistent for well over 10 years, with little to no overlap between the groups. Many of my colleagues were uncomfortable. Few believed that our university, or any centre of higher learning and reasoning, could be perpetrators of discrimination. The reasons behind this data was not clear, but how it would make a student or a staff member feel, that was something that could be dramatised. I am Ricardo Barker, an independent filmmaker and senior lecturer in film production at Leeds Trinity University. I've been teaching and working with young people for over 20 years and believe in the practice of filmmaking as a powerful method for teaching a wide range of research and technical skills.
I asked 12 Level 4 students to research racism and discrimination in higher education institutions. This was to include physical and verbal abuse, reported in the press, marginalisation, and decolonising the curriculum.
This story was to be told from a black male student perspective, even though this particular Level 4 group had little knowledge of the black experience, and some were also sceptical of the attainment gap findings.
I was assisted by colleagues who helped facilitate the discussions with the students. These colleagues were self-aware and reflective and offered a really important contribution when expressing their feelings and their thoughts. This was modelled to the students, which in turn gave them an opportunity to be self-reflective and allowed them to speak openly without judgment.
Each day, for over 6 weeks, they collated as much data as they could from statistics, related news stories, social media, and interviews with peers in and around the university and across the country. This was regularly discussed in workshops.
Come on now, how many black managers do you know in the whole of this company? Not just in catering and that and in front of house. Actual management. You and I being promoted to a senior management level, bro. Not gonna happen.
You can't say it's not gonna happen.
Not anytime soon. Don't matter how many hours you clock up, yeah? Companies like this, they want graduates with a good degree. Or better still, a master's degree like I'm gonna get. Then we could demand a better job with a decent salary. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying.
They were surprised by what they discovered. They knew that racism existed, but they were stunned that institutional racism could be systemic throughout universities across the country, resulting in a history of poor retention, progression and attainment rates, particularly amongst black male students.
Whenever there's issues like this, it gets shut down because it's uncomfortable. The last thing they want is someone running around calling them racist. And you want Taps making noise in a place where he's the only black face. Are you mad?
You want him to be a good boy and stay quiet,
No,
yeah?
I'm not saying that. But what good will it do if he just...
Look, guys, today was important. Because I learnt something.
Everything was printed and pasted on the surrounding walls. I went round with a highlighter and marked items that I felt could be expressed in a narrative drama. Being surrounded by so much material did have an emotional impact. A few members of the group chose to withdraw from the project as they felt upset by the scale of what was being uncovered. They were given other work so they wouldn't feel isolated from the rest of the group during the 6-week block.
You alright, mate? You look well pissed off.
Yesterday after the match, lads got together in a game with this.
It took over 6 months to write the script, and I began filming with a new cohort of level 4 and 5 students in 2019. The film attempts to highlight the common areas in which discrimination and inequality manifest for students and staff. The data suggested that microaggressions and unconscious bias in lecture theatres, canteen, student events and groups, amongst security staff and HR has a strong impact on the sense of belonging.
I'm sorry, but I don't really get how this is relevant. Like, I know what it is, obviously, but it's not really relevant to what we're talking about, is it?
Isn't it about different points of view? It's about perceiving things from different perspectives, right?
Yes, though I think you could have chosen a better example. You are raising an interesting point, though, so thank you, Tharpello. Okay, so any other suggestions?
It's Tapello. And I received that as a joke. However, I don't think any thought was given to how it might be perceived or how I might feel about it. Different perspectives.
Yeah, well, take it with them, mate. It don't mean anything. Or it don't have to mean anything. Like, not unless, you're just massively sensitive.
It is such a difficult subject that many colleagues feel self-conscious when it comes to openly discussing issues of discrimination as and when they arise. It is made all the more stressful when well-meaning and trusted colleagues misunderstand or misrepresent injustices. The following scene is symbolic of advice that can often be heard from well-meaning peers and colleagues. The impact of such advice can often go unnoticed.
Nobody understands more about racism in this place than me. And you might be thinking that's bollocks, but
Yeah.
watch yourself, because I could accuse you of being prejudiced. I was campaigning with the Anti-Nazi League long before you were born, mate. And I get it. If history's shown us anything, you've got to be patient. Progress takes time. And don't take it so personally. You see that Dani Alves incident? When he's playing for Barcelona. He's about to take a corner and a banana lands next to him on the pitch. Does he let it offend him and let his game be affected? No. He bends down, picks it up and eats it. When I saw that, I thought, this guy's a fucking genius. That's what you do in the face of bigotry. Don't let them get to you.
He said what? And you didn't say you should have thrown it back at those bastards. You stood there and listened to that bullshit.
I didn't realise how much stuff I carry around in my head all the time. There are so many things that I often see, but I choose not to notice. But I just choose to ignore.
The project was intended to teach film production skills and research techniques to level 4 and level 5 students. At the very least, I had hoped that they would benefit from being mentored on a real film production. I had also hoped that Tapello's story and journey might provide some insight into the BAME experience in higher education to some of my peers and my colleagues who had questions about the retention and progression rates and also about the attainment gap. Everyone involved stated that they valued the experience and believed that the topic and the process was worthwhile and provided a meaningful context to their learning.
Hello, my name is Sarah Shakir. I'm a Senior Teaching Fellow at Leeds Trinity University. I'm here to talk to you about the training toolkit that I developed with Ricardo in response to watching his film ReTention. Whilst watching Tapello experience microaggressions, racial discrimination on potentially a daily basis, I lived and relived my own experiences of working in HE, of being a woman of colour, and of working in the professional field. It was after watching ReTention and reliving those experiences, both of mine and of those that I know, that I developed what I called the Aftermath Debate training package. It's within this aftermath debate space that colleagues and peers can really come together to share, to talk, to discuss openly experiences of racial discrimination, whether they be personal or of those they know, or that they may have never experienced any kind of discrimination in their life. The Aftermath Debate package provides safe spaces throughout the session for people to come together to discuss openly. They may feel vulnerable in these spaces, however they are safe environments to talk openly. The training package also looks at the forced silence theory. Now this is a model that I developed with Ricardo, which really epitomizes the position that a person of colour is put in when they are unable to call out or challenge racial discrimination that they experience in, potentially on a regular or daily basis. They are put in a position of forced silence, and there are multiple levels of discrimination and what I call enforcers around them. And these start with the peers, the people immediately around you. And then it's your institution, place of work or study, community and society and beyond. If we cannot make any fractures in that first circle around the peers, then we cannot affect any positive change elsewhere. So it's up to us as individuals to take accountability for our own actions, our own behaviours, our own responses and attitudes towards others, and to form an allyship where we can become united as a team to tackle racial discrimination in HE and beyond. So the training toolkit drills down these critical conversations between colleagues and peers to take accountability for themselves as individuals. The training toolkit also discusses 2 of the 5 critical race theory principles, one being the voices of people of colour and one being interest convergence. Now, it may not be in the personal interests of senior leadership teams or of universities to tackle racial discrimination if it doesn't affect them personally. However, it is in the interests of higher education to tackle racial discrimination because we know the outcomes for both students and staff at every level are poorer. Lower satisfaction, lower progression, lower attainment, and all the rest. The data speaks for itself. The training toolkit looks at data. It looks at data within our institution, the national picture, and when we deliver this training package to other universities, we also present their data sets on their behalf. The data can't lie. People have to come together and recognise the issues by first listening to the voices of people of colour and sharing those lived experiences before they then take accountability for themselves and create their own action plan to move forward. Is your university ready to start the conversation?